I just finished watching Tyler Perry's new movie on Netflix, Straw, with Taraji P. Henson, Tiana Taylor, Sherry Shepard, Glenn Turman, Sinbad. And I had to come on live to tell you guys all about it. I had to give my review. That's how poignant the movie was. Now, I gave it a 10 out of 10, but not for the reasons a movie probably should get a 10 out of 10. Because, per usual, the plot had holes in it. Tyler, you know you be doing some stuff. Um, the the setting, it looked like some of the some of the buildings were made out of cardboard. But Tyler, his actor said he paid good money, and I think he pays good money because he he he's cheap with everything else. But once you get past all of that, and Tiana Taylor's bad wig, Straw was actually a good movie. What's up, Ann? You still up too? Girl, I kind of slept late. I kind of slept in today, so I was actually falling asleep, but I was falling asleep on the Straw movie. I had got to the end, and when I got to the end, I kind of woke up and I realized that there was a plot twist. So I rewinded it and I was like, oh my God, I was near tears. I really was. Um, if you get a chance and watch it, it's a good movie. Straw, I think, means last straw or the straw that broke the camel's back. That's what I think straw is indicative of. At least that's the way I took it. It's about a single mother. Uh, she's alienated from her family. She's also living in impoverished conditions. She works and takes care of her child. She doesn't really have anybody. Her daughter is sickly, and her daughter, at the beginning of the movie, you see her in bed with her daughter. Then you see her get up and get her daughter ready for school. And her daughter's like, Mom, I don't want to go to school. And the teacher is saying that I owe for lunch money. And I remember when I was working and I have so much going on. Hey, please do me a favor, guys. If you're in here, please give my live a thumbs up. That really helps me out. Please like this live. I'm talking about the Straw movie on Netflix. It's Tyler Perry's new movie starring Taraji P. Henson. But as I was saying, I think this movie is so important for so many reasons. But I remember being late to work and just trying to get my kids to school and needing to go pay for lunch. And you couldn't pay for lunch online. You could only pay for lunch. And this is California, okay? I should have been able to just swipe my credit card and pay online. But sometimes I had to get out my car, actually go walk into the school and pay for it. Okay, but sometimes I would be running late and I'd have so much going on, I would be a day or two late. And instead of giving my child a lunch and just billing her for it, they would give my child a survivor's lunch. And that happened many, many times. And then my daughter would, Mom, they gave me this for lunch, and I have to run in and go pay her fees up. Now, several years later, after me paying for school lunches for a number of years, because we were never eligible for free lunch because I've always worked and took care of my kids. And I always had an income that was above the poverty line. Um, I was middle class for a number of years or so, I thought. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My point was, I always felt like, why would you penalize a child for being behind on their lunch fees? And that's what they did in the movie. And the little girl said, Well, Mom, the teacher always tells me I need to pay the $40 for lunch or I have to eat a special lunch. And Taraji, her character in the movie, asked her daughter, Well, is she telling you this in front of all of this class? And her daughter's like, Yes, she's telling me all. Now, if you're listening and you haven't watched the Straw movie yet, I'm telling about the whole movie. So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, then I suggest you leave this live. If you don't mind hearing about all the hearing about the movie and all the spoilers, go ahead and continue. But I'm letting you know now. This is a review, and I'm talking about the whole movie. I'm not cut no cuts. I'm not cutting back on the spoilers. So, at any rate, I the mom, she was very upset by that. And I always found that like to be like disheartening. Like, why make kids pay for their parents not paying for the lunch on time, or their parents not having the money. So that's how the beginning of the movie started. The apartment was very dirty, but Taraji was making do. She was on the verge of being evicted. And so we see her bathing her daughter and getting her ready for school. And she's leaving school, rushing to work, drop her daughter off, and she goes to work. Work is very busy, but while she's at work, there's so many people there. It's the first of the month. We see her landlord, while she's leaving with her daughter, we see her landlord say, "Hey, you need to pay your rent." And she's like, "Okay, I get paid today." This is her payday. So when she gets to work, she lets her boss know, "Hey, I need my paycheck." He's like, "You're going to get your paycheck, but right now, I need you out on the floor. We're busy today." Taraji is a cashier at like a small market, and it's a lot of people there, and they're very rude and obnoxious, and they make life hard for her. And her boss is no better either. So while she's at work, she gets a phone call, and at this point, it looks like the school is calling her about the lunch fees. Remember, the lunch fees is a big part of this movie. The daughter school, what the daughter owes is $40. Okay, and so soon we learn that Taraji's paycheck is only $521. So what is Taraji really gonna do at that point? She says she works two jobs in the movie, so I take it that's not the only paycheck that she'll be getting. But that paycheck is $521, and she's supposed to pay rent and her daughter's lunch fees with that. So in the middle of work, she gets her boss, who is he's very much indignant and just a hole. You would not want a boss like this. He lacks zero understanding, as these boss at these low paying, low skill jobs usually are. They really want you to work hard for the money, and they try to make life difficult for you. I remember being in college and working at McDonald's and places like that, and they just made my life a living hell. So finally, we get to the part where Taraji is supposed to be going back up to the school to pay for her daughter's lunch fees. And when she gets there, children's services are there, and they're saying that she didn't give the daughter a bath. The daughter comes to school hungry, and she's like, "I'm trying the best I can. I do the best I can. I feed my daughter. I feed her all the time. Sometimes she only eats certain things, and she doesn't want what I give her. And I get, even though my gas is shut off, I still try to clean her up. But my daughter gets cold, but I try to keep her clean all the time." And remember, at the beginning of the movie, we could actually see Taraji giving her daughter a bath. So I didn't understand why DCFS was called, just because she owed $40 for lunch fees. Like, feed her. And in California now, I'm going to digress for a bit. In California now, they no longer have that. All children are entitled in public schools. I don't know about charter schools. I don't know about private schools. But in public schools, all children are eligible for free lunch, no matter how much how much their parents make. After all those years, I paid for lunch. But my last three children, they don't have to pay for school lunch, which is great because, you know, um, 30 days, a month of lunch, and you times that times three, and that's another food bill. Um, so that's good for us in California, but I know it's like not like that across America. In California now, In the summertime, what they're doing is they've always had free lunch during the summers. Even since I was a kid, you could go a few weeks out of the summer and go get free lunch. And when I lived in Los Angeles, we loved to do that. We would go to all the school because they actually had good lunches. But where I live now, I've never done that, and I've never done that with my kids. I haven't had the need to do that, and I just don't do it anyway. But what they give the kids out here in California is some bucks in the summer. I think it's like $120 in the summer per kid. So, I mean, it's not that much, but it helps. It helps because it gets them their snacks or whatever in the summer while they're home. And I know for some kids that means a lot. For me, it's just okay. I let my kids pick out whatever snacks and drinks that they want, but every kid gets that. If they're a public school student, every kid gets some bucks in the summer. Governor Newsom just started that last year because during COVID they gave out PEBT, that was pandemic food stamps to the kids that were at home. And again, all kids got that all across America. If they were home from school, everybody got PEBT. So I guess the government, well, California government saw that that was a program that was still very much needed, so they continued to give the kids student lunch. But back to the movie, because again, the mother got a call while she was at work talking about the daughter's school lunch. And so she tries to go to the bank to get her last $47 out, but she's unable to because they said if you don't have a certain amount, then they close your account out. So she was unable to get her last $47 out because she was going to take that $40 and run it to the bank. Now, when she couldn't get the $40, she just goes back to work. Um, and that's when, after her daughter had been taken, she goes back to work because she knows she needs to try to get her daughter back. And when she gets back to work, on her way back to work, she gets into a car accident. And this is another reason why, Tyler Perry, he just plays in our face. On this day, so far, this lady wakes up to her daughter telling her that she needs $40 for her arrear payments at school, for her arrearages at school. Then on the way out the door, the landlord is hounding her about paying rent and saying she's going to evict her. Then she gets her daughter gets to work, and uh, her supervisor is harassing her about being on time and not leaving work, and then he doesn't want to give her paycheck. She's just having one bad day after the other. Then she gets her kid taken from these by children's services. Then she gets back to work, and while she's at work trying to get her paycheck, the her boss fires her. Let me back up. While she's on her way back to work, after her daughter gets taken by children's services, she gets into a road rage incident with a off-duty police officer, and he does a pit maneuver on her car, and then calls the police on her and says she hit him, and they end up impounding her car. And he was so mad that he told her if he ever saw her again, he was going to take whatever liberties to end her life. So then she has to walk back to work in the rain. Once she gets back to work, this is all the same day. This is not even over a span of weeks as life really happens. Usually, the way life happens, it is one thing after the other. They sometimes say bad things happen in three or good things come in three, but whatever. All this stuff is happening to this lady in one die. And I'm just like, Tyler, come on now. Make it believable. I mean, I know things happen to people, but in the span of less than 24 hours. Okay. So when she gets back to her job after walking back to work in the rain, after going to the school and finding out her daughter's been taken by children's services, after going through the road rage accident with the rogue police officer, now she's fired from work. Her boss fired her because she took too long when he gave her that break to go up to the school to see about her daughter. He's just tired of it. He said, no, I called somebody else in, you fired. And no, you can't have your paycheck since you got fired. You got to get your paycheck, your last paycheck in the mail. And she's like, well, it's right there. So right in the middle of her arguing with her supervisor about her paycheck, somebody tries to come in and burglarize the place. And in the middle of that, she fights with the guy because she's trying to fight with him over her paycheck or over her money or whatever, and ends up shooting one of the robbers. And then the same thing with her boss, because her boss, he, even though she was trying to defend herself, he calls the police and said, hey, she just did XYZ and she's right here. And he's like, yeah, you're going to jail, just taunting her. And then she says poo poo, and gets him too. So she has her paycheck though. After she did all this stuff, she was able to get her paycheck, and now she's going to the bank. And when she gets to the bank, they're like, "You don't. I need your ID. You don't have an ID. I can't cash your check." So next thing you know, she's at the bank with the same pew pew that she had from the earlier robbery at her job. So, long story short, short story long, this woman is at the bank and ends up holding the bank tellers and the customer hostage for about 12 hours. And this is where Tiana Taylor's character comes in. She's one of the detectives, and they're trying to solve what happened at the store earlier in the day because somebody was unalived due to her, and they're trying to find her and find out what's going on. However, Tiana Taylor has a soft spot for her, and you don't understand why until the very end of the movie. She says, look, I was raised by a single mother, and I know what she's going through. And this is why I gave the movie a 10 out of 10. As it turns out, at the very end of the movie, when they called Taraji's mother, when they call her character's mother in the movie, that Taraji's character is Janaya. When they called Janaya's mother so that she could talk to her mom, she's like, your daughter was unalive last night. We took her to the hospital. She had a seizure, and remember, she didn't make it. And then that's when I wanted to just cry because this woman had lost her mind. She had lost her child the night before, and the whole day was just a hallucination. She never brought the baby home from the hospital after she got sick. It was just the blankets, and she had the blankets in bed with her. She never gave her a bath. She was just sitting at the tub, lost and dazed and confused. When she was taking her daughter to school, when we see her go down the stairs, nobody is with her. She's hallucinating and talking to herself. Same thing with dropping her off to school. The principal is looking at her like, girl, well, you done lost your mind. And she was like, can I help you? Like, are you okay? Because the whole time, she never dropped anybody off at school. She drove to the school, opened the back door, like she's letting her daughter off, waves by to her and everything. But nobody's ever in the car with her. The whole day was all a hallucination. And when she got to the bank, the supervisor at the bank that had also been sympathetic to her and trying to keep her calm, she looked at Taraji's character. Janaya looks at the bank manager, who was played by Sherry Shepherd, and she said, my daughter was passed away last night. And Sherry Shepherd said, I know, they told me earlier. So they already knew what happened and that this woman had lost her mind. The reason why this is why I gave the movie a 10 out of 10. This is a story that really desperately needed to be told. And I'm just tearing up thinking about it because I've been a single mom for some time now, and I know what it feels like to um, feel desperate, to feel like you've been turned every which way and you just can't find peace. I talk about my battle with anxiety and depression. I talked about that earlier this week. If you haven't seen that live yet, go back and see the live. I had a very stressful job. I was a single mom, and uh, the job just that job just became too much for me. And it took me a number of years before I left. And once I finally left, I was able to gain my peace, but I needed my job to provide for me and my children. So I stayed there way longer than I should. And that's the plight of a lot of single black mothers. We're called strong. We're called independent. It's like we don't need anybody's help. It's like we're not feminine, we're not women, and we don't need a white knight in shining armor to come save us or to come help us. We don't need husbands. We don't need our children's fathers to take care of their children. And we're left out in the cold to do it all. And no one person should have that burden on them. Thankfully, even though I'm a single mom, when my children were younger, I had family to help. But at the same time, it was still a lot because, again, I was working this very stressful job. And even when I was married and I had help from my husband, it still was a lot because we were going through different things. And that made it more difficult for me to manage my mental health. And for a long time, I didn't feel like I could trust anybody with what I was going through. And I was just carrying that and shouldering that. And I just thank God. That's why, again, I give this movie a 10 out of 10 because I just thank God because I thought I could lose my mind. I had so much on me. And a lot of women aren't able to make it out of that level of anxiety and stress and depression. A lot of women, black women, aren't. They end up with high blood pressure. They have strokes. They have heart attacks. They're angry and mad at the world. They're taking it out on their children. The kids that are most likely to get abused are the children of black single mothers because black single mothers don't have help. You would think it would be by men. It's not men because the men are not present. It's the women that's doing it all on their own and they have it all on them. So they get short tempered and sometimes take it out on their children. And then you see a lot of our kids, you like just think about it in the summertime, I think start hearing a lot more about child abuse cases and kids being unalived by their mothers. I was reading a story a few weeks ago or earlier this year. Let me take a sip of water because I'm doing a lot of talking. And this mother had took her child to the park and was pushing the child on the swing for like 2 days. The child had passed away. And I can't remember if they found out if the child had actually passed away before or if they just passed away on the swing because it was an African American mom. Somebody said they saw her walk into the park and they saw her go there. And finally, what happened? Somebody who had came by the park had seen the same woman in the same spot pushing the same child, and they finally alerted the authorities that hey, this same woman has been at the park pushing this baby for like 2 days. That lady was in the same spot pushing that child in that swing. She had completely lost her mind. And you see those stories again and again. And I haven't watched any interviews that Tyler has done about the movie. I saw that Taraji was on the Breakfast Club, but I didn't watch it because they give you clips, and all I heard was Taraji say, "Oh, everybody talks about Tyler Perry, but Tyler Perry he pays the best out of anybody, and I bet he does because he goes cheap on everything else." So, I guess, and he makes the films in 2 days. So I guess with his budget, he's able to pay actors and actresses uh, their value because he goes cheap on everything else. And I was prepared to just get on here and dog Tyler out because I gotta admit, I have a love hate relationship with Tyler. I used to love his Medea movies and his plays when I was younger, but that's when I was way younger. That was years and years ago. In 2002, I've grown up, and a lot of his audience has grown up, but I guess not all of us. And I feel like Tyler, he waters his movies down. I mean, he's pumping out a lot of content already this year. He's had She the People. He's had Straw. I mean, at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, it was the 688. So he's pumping out a lot of content, and he's writing, producing, and directing it, and doing all of that on his own. I think he, would benefit from having additional writers, and I definitely think he would benefit from putting a little bit more money into costumes because, like I said, Tiana Taylor's wig was a hot mess. But and the scenery you could see in the background, you could see these little buildings that looked like they was drawn, or it didn't look real. And it didn't take a lot away from the story because I still got the story, and that's what I am giving a 10 out of 10. Not necessarily the production value. uh Tiana's performance was mid, very mid. I liked Sherry's soft touch that she gave and how she was very sympathetic to Sherry Shepherd, I'm talking about. I liked how she was very sympathetic to Taraji P's character. I like seeing Glenn Turman. He's an old actor from back in the day. I liked seeing that he was working. And Sinbad, I liked seeing him in the movie. I thought that was great. But there was a lot of extraness. And I guess the day had to start off that way for Taraji P's character, Janaya, so you could see exactly why it happened. So when you go back and you think about it, it's like, okay, all of these things didn't actually happen to her. She didn't get evicted, fired, and lose her child in one day. It was all a hallucination. And that's what brought her to the bank and holding all those people at the bank hostage. And now think of some woman that you know. Think of a black mom, even if she's married or even if she's a single mom. Think about all that she endures and all that she has against her. Because how many black moms do you know that are able to be stay at home moms? I had to get sick in order to be a stay at home mom. Not while I was married, and I've worked. I've been in college or working all my adult life. I've just been home with my children for the last couple of years, and that's because God had to sit me all the way down so that I could get rest and I could really start to get my mental health back. Because if I had continued on the way I was going, I don't know where I would be today. And I'm so grateful to God because it was challenging for me. And it's a lot of women, it's a lot of mothers who feel like I cannot quit. If I quit, who's going to take care of my kids? Because they don't have rich families to take care of them. Like most uh, white Americans, they have parents that are going to help them, that can take, most black girls, they don't have that. They don't have that. If they have decent jobs, they're probably the ones that's helping the rest of the family out because there's always that one person in the black family that has the good job and that went to college, and they're usually one that everybody borrows money from, and they're the one that's helping everybody out. Let me see. Hey, Queen Judy, thank you for joining. I was there before Charity. Yes, me to Charity in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. When I loved there was hard, but God did it. Yes. Yes, God is good. Yes. By the grace of God, there go I. And again, that's why I gave this movie a 10 out of 10 because I just felt like, some woman is going through this right now. It's so many black women, not just some women, so many black women that can relate to feeling like they're going to lose their mind because they have to work, they have to take care of children, and quite frankly, maybe they're not making enough money to do all that needs to be done. Food costs are high, gas costs are up, rent, all of that is high. And a lot of people are not making enough money to even pay for all of that. It's called the working poor, and they still need food stamps, but they may be just a little bit over the poverty line, so they don't qualify for child care. They don't qualify for food stamps. You know, I heard it said before that some people are better off just being poor. And people say, well, why do people want to stay on home and work on welfare? I definitely feel that if you have children, you should be married and you should be able to provide for them. But what if you get sick or what if something happens? What do you do then? What do you do then? So you continue to work and you have a sick child at home that you need to take care of, or you get sick. What happens then? In some cases, it's better just to be on food stamps and Section 8, because at least you're home for your children, and at least you can pay for the things you need. Because if you go to work, you're barely making it. You don't have enough coming in to even pay rent, let alone buy food and gas. You know, what if a man leaves and you by yourself or never was there? That is hard, right? Ann, you're absolutely right, and that's happened to a lot of women too. And it's not just to women who are unmarried mothers. It happens to women who have husbands. It happens to them too. And nobody is more mistreated, more disrespected than the black woman. I don't care. I'm going to say it. We're the least respected and the least protected. And we have the most on our shoulders. We carry the world on our backs. We're there for everybody. And who's there for us to help us when we need it? Nobody. You know, there was a study done. There used to be a time where they wanted to study black women to find out how they were able to uh, maintain their mental health and not experience as much stress as other women. And that's how little they saw us. That's how little they saw us. They thought black women had cracked the code to not being stressed out. Like as if we don't have stress. We do. We just have to keep going because we don't have a landing pad to fall on if something happens. We have to keep going because if we don't, we might not make it. And that's what makes it worse for us and harder for us because we don't have a man coming in rushing to save the day for us. They see us as their enemy. A lot of the men in our community, we don't have it like other women who are provided for and taken care of. Not most of us. In the black community, the black woman is the head of the households by a huge percentage. Black women are the fastest rising entrepreneurs, fastest rising college entrants. And what are we getting for it? We're getting anxiety, we're getting depression, and some of us are losing our minds, just like Janiyah in this movie Straw. So yes, thank you all for tuning in. By the way, thank you all for giving my whoever the two of you that gave me a like. Thank you for that. I was gonna do this live in the morning, but I said no. Let me do it tonight while it's fresh on my mind because who knows what I'll be doing tomorrow. And I want to talk about it now. Nobody but God. That's right. That's absolutely right. So if you're struggling, if you're listening to this and you're struggling in any way, first go to God. Go to God in prayer and take some self inventory of your life. See where you can cut corners, where you can save money, where you can make your load a little bit easier. Let that laundry go. Let the kids eat oodles and noodles one night. You know, don't try to do everything at once. Don't try to take and just pay your bills. If you can pay your rent, if you can pay your lights and gas, if you pay your car note and insurance and put gas in your car and put some food in the refrigerator, sometimes that's just going to be all you can do. If you can pick up some extra work or babysit for somebody here and there, but again, sometimes you may, as a mom, you may be already up, you may already be underwater and you're already sinking, so you don't have nothing else to give. You've given everything that you had to your job and to your children. So overtime may be just taking you over the edge. Watching somebody's kid might be just taking you over the edge. But find something that you like to do then. Something that you like you might be into crafts. You may be into knitting or doing crochet. Find something that floats your boat and see how you can turn it into a second income. Because if you're using your time, because I know you have some time, if you're using your time towards that and doing something physical and something that you enjoy, that can help take your mind off a lot of things too. You might even want to take in others' laundry since you got to wash your clothes anyway, and take in a few of your girlfriend's laundry and wash their clothes for them so that you can get a few extra dollars. Do what you got to do till you can get to where you want to be, because this life is hard. It's very hard. And if you don't stay prayed up, if you don't get enough sleep, if you stay up all night worrying, that's not going to change anything. Get your sleep, get your rest. Give it to God and get your rest. Don't stay up all night thinking about bills and thinking about birthdays and this and that. Get your sleep, because once you get your sleep, you'll be up and better prepared to think about a plan and the next course of action. But if you don't get any sleep, all you'll do is stay up worrying. And when you don't sleep and when you worry, that's bad on your mental health. A lack of sleep is the single most thing you can do to ruin your mental health. Yes, helping one another, charity. You are so right. Absolutely. And thank you for joining the live and kicking it with your girl. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's help each other out. And if you, and that by the same token, if you have extra, if you're doing well, you know, what's wrong with you, you know, buying one of your girlfriends a week's worth of grocery? If you're a woman that has it and you know another single mom that could use the help. Maybe she could use maybe she could use your help dropping her kids off at school. You have enough room for her two kids, or maybe she has one child and you know she doesn't have anybody. What's wrong with you dropping her kids off at school and not charging her? You're headed the same way, or it's not too much of a hassle for you to pick up her kid on your way to the schoolhouse. Do that for somebody, because you don't know, even if they're grateful or not, you're doing the Lord's work, number one, but you don't know how you are being a source of help for that person. You know, I didn't trust nobody with my kids, so I did not trust nobody with my kids at all. So I don't know how that would have worked for me, but you know, when me, my family, we all have a lot of kids going to the same school. So what we would do is switch off on carpool. So that worked for a great number of years till we all start having multiple children. Then we had to take our own kids to school. Yeah, but my sister would take my kid to school because I had to work. I had just started my career and I needed to be at work, and so my family would babysit and take my kids to school for me. My mom, she was retired, so she would help with my children while I worked. But a lot of girls don't have that. They don't have anybody. They don't have a mother to babysit. They don't have a sister to drop off their kids and or pick them up for whatever reason. You know. So each one, reach one. If you can help, help somebody out, because you don't know, you might be saving a life. You may be helping to save somebody's mental health. Hmm. Year after year, women, Halle Bailey says she had postpartum depression. And it's not just black, like again, it's not just black, poor single moms. It's a lot of moms. It's a lot of moms, but I'm talking to black single moms specifically. Not only because I am one, but because I've seen, and I've experienced what we go through. I thank God that I have my mental health, that I'm recovering from anxiety and PTSD. Well, PTSD is anxiety, but I thank God that I'm recovering and that I'm able to enjoy motherhood now that I'm at home and not at work, that I'm able to sleep better at night, that I'm able to think better. My kids try to tell me, "Oh, mom, such as," I'm like, "No, no, that didn't happen. Do I look crazy to you? I do not smoke cigarettes. I do not drink. I do not drug. I'm not with no crazy man. I don't have work occupying my mind. My mind is my own. You cannot pull the wool over my eyes. Now come again. What happened? And what did you say? And what did I say? Because these kids love to try to tell you, oh, mama, remember you said this. Mama, remember you said that. No, I didn't. I remember what you said, and I remember what you did, and I remember what happened, and this is what I told you before my kids. And they probably got used to doing this. They be like, remember, mama? And I had forgot because I probably was stressed out the day before, probably was running on fumes, had no energy, probably was barely getting any sleep, so they could probably tell me anything. Or I would tell my kids, go clean up the kitchen, and then they were like, okay, mom, and they know I wouldn't be, fully present. So they may or may not go clean the kitchen, or they may or may not go clean their rooms. I come back and I had to tell them again. Well, that was probably also because they were younger too. But they used to play me. They used to play me because um, I just wasn't fully present and fully aware. But now I am. I definitely am. And I'm so grateful that I am. You know, I'm so grateful that I never turned to medication, never turned to alcohol. I never self medicated with illicit street medication, if you get what I'm saying. Um, I never turned to me, and I always turned to God. No matter how hard life got, I turned to God. I always turned to God. I opened up my Bible and I prayed. I turned on the gospel music and I let the Spirit of the Lord fill my house, and it worked every single time. Sometimes I may have had to listen to gospel from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep and all through the night, but it kept me and it held me together better than any doctor's medicine could. So just watching that movie just brought me to, tears. I just thought about it and I was just like, wow, but God, like, this is why I'm so grateful. This is why I always talk about God. Let me see what, and they make sure they get what they want is what I was trying. Okay, they act like we ain't human. The other race of women, they get what they need and want. Even our black men, they make sure they get what they want. Is what I was trying to type. Yes, helping one another. Charity, you are so right. Last in everything and kick to the side. We are. I'm not scared to speak my mind in real life. Charity, God is the answer. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, that's why so many women were in defense of Haley Bailey, because they said, we know what it's like to be with a man, to just have had his child and have him discard you as if you don't matter, you know, just like you're nothing. And here Hallie is crying out to him like, I need you. I need you to be there for me. And he's like, indifferent. That's another thing too. As black women, we rely too heavily on the men in our lives. Whoever it is, even when he's showing us that he's not worthy of us, we still rely too heavily on a man. I always, when I was a child, I said I would never rely on a man to take care of me. And even when I had children, I still said I would not rely on a man. And I think that's kind of what worked against me too, because I always thought I had to be independent, and I always had to be strong, and I always had to be able to take care of myself. I could never let somebody else be responsible for providing for me. Even though I had children, I could not allow somebody else to put my life in their hands and my well being in their hands, because what about if they left? What about if they decided they didn't want me anymore? Then where would I be? Where would I have been if I didn't have my own income? So I always felt like, even if I was married, even if though I had children, yes, you need to help me. Yes, you need to take care of me, but I also need to be able to manage on my own. And I see so many women who fall all the way apart because they put all their hope and trust in a man and not in God. I see a lot of women losing their mind because of that too. It's like they can't even be mothers to their children because they don't have a man present. And yes, a man should be in his child's life, but his mama's baby, daddy's maybe. If the man is not present in your children's life, you know, give it to God, but you still take care of your children and still do the best you can by them. Why keep letting somebody let you and your child down? You made a mistake. Just don't have no more children. Because I see some women, they have children back to back by the same man or additional men, and they're not getting any better results. And then you love to handle it on your own. That's why black women specifically should take care of their reproductive health and make sure that they are only having the amount of children that they could safely, mentally, economically, emotionally provide for. Because what if you don't end up being staying with that partner that you have? What if you guys don't stand the test of time and then you got several children that you had to take care of by yourself? If you have one, okay, one is like none. I always said that. When I had one child, I was always saying one is like none. Because my mother would always help with her. I always got people to do things for her. I tried to rely on the men, but they was never there. No, the men's supposed to be the head of the household, but they are the tail because they are not doing what God intended for them to do. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I'm just glad I don't have sons. Because if I had 5 sons instead of 5 daughters, my life would be a lot different. I would definitely stay on the football field, stay at the basketball courts because I would be making sure my children, my boys stayed athletic. I would be making sure that they had the best mentors. I would make sure they stayed in church, and I would be making sure that my sons were valued, high value men going out into the world so that they could be good husbands, good citizens of the world, and that they could be somebody, a force to be reckoned with. I wouldn't let them think that it's okay to be baby fathers and to have child after child and to leave women to fend for themselves. What kind of man is that? If you have a child, if a woman is carrying your seed, you are less than a human, less than a person to let her take care of everything on her own. A woman should never be down on her luck if her child's father is living and breathing. And I fought some of these women too because why are you because these men there leave one woman with children and go build another family with someone else. And why are you taking a man or accepting that from a man that didn't take care of his own family, the first family he had? My point exactly, I had 3 sons, no good father in the household. That's why I got myself fixed so I couldn't have any more children without a father figure. I know that's right. I know that's right. And that's a shame you had to think like that. You know, that you couldn't have as many children as you probably would have liked or whatever. But maybe 3 was all you wanted. Everybody was upset at me because I did that, but no one was there to help me. I had a friend who did that very early. I was like, girl, why are you doing that so early? You're only 21. Why are you getting your tubes tied? You don't know where life would take you. And they was like, no, I don't want to have any more children. I don't want a bunch of baby daddies. And, I guess, but, later on they did remarry. And I know that that was one of the things that, probably hurt their next marriage because their husband never had kids. And they couldn't give them one because they had that, they had did that early on. Mm-hmm. But when you just know. Um, so, yeah, absolutely. If you don't want to take care of the children or you don't want to have any more children, go ahead and get your tubes tied because I'd rather see a woman do that than constantly going to have terminations or constantly having babies And I see a lot of that too. Women are just like, they're breeding like dogs. Like you got 10, 12 kids. First of all, don't possess the wherewithal to take care of all those kids. This is not back in the day where you had a farm and all those kids were extra hands and they could help with the family farm. This is not those days, number one. Number two, you're having all these children and you're on welfare, or you don't have enough space in the house for them, or you don't have enough love. How can you love all those kids? And it's unfair to yourself. You're not giving yourself a chance because you got all these kids and I have three daughters. I mean, I have five daughters total, three still in my home. And when they all get to talking and want stuff from me, I'm like, come on now. Come on now. You got to go. You got to get on up out my face. You're doing too much talking. And I have a cutoff. I'm good in the mornings, but when I get to the evening, okay. Okay, I done did all the talking I could do, girls. Okay? I do it early too. I don't care at that point. They keep saying you might meet a rich man to have a child, but I said, well, he's gonna have to accept the ones I have or adopt them. You know what? I had my first child very young, and my second child I knew I wanted, but I never wanted to. I never used birth control, and I never wanted to time my. Well, after my fifth child, because my husband and I was like, we want to get, we want to be more proactive in making sure we don't have any more children. And so I went and took the class to have my tubes tied, but I didn't go back for whatever reason. I was going to go that route, but I just never went back. And thank God I never got pregnant again, because after my fifth daughter, I knew I didn't want any more children. Right, kids are not toys. Kids are not toys. It's not something you can have and then discard them. I don't understand. Me either. Like, I see women like, oh, I never get a break. I need help. I'm so tired. Excuse you? Excuse you. When you had a child, they became yours. And I guess after watching this movie, like I said, women, if you can get a friend that is as responsible as you and that loves her child as much as you love yours, and that does not play when it comes to kids, because some people, they love their kids and they want to protect their kids, but your child, they won't do the same with. Make sure you can trust that person with your kid. And you know I don't trust anybody like that, but if you can, because you got to trust somebody, make sure you always vet everybody. But maybe you guys can trade, you know, the night off. Like maybe one Saturday you watch her kid while she goes off and has the day to herself, and the next Saturday she has your child, and then you guys plan to do something where like you take the kids to the movies, you feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you make sure they have a bath and they get cleaned up and all that stuff, so when they go home their moms can put them to bed or whatever. If you're a single mom and you don't have a lot of family help, try to find somebody that you can trust. Like, take your time getting to know people and seeing what they're all about and what their home life is like. How do they act around your kids? Do your kid feel comfortable around them? And then see if you can get your breaks that way by swapping childcare with another mom. Because having knowing your kid is somewhere safe and you can have the day to yourself. Those kind of breaks are really helpful. They are really helpful. Or if your child is at daycare, see if you can leave your child an hour or two later so you can just sit and relax in your car after you get off work. And you can have that time to unwind before you have to go to your second job, your real job, which is motherhood. Even if you have a husband, baby, come get your child out the car. See, I'm going to go to the park and just sit for a minute before I come home and cook dinner. Make sure that hamburger is sitting on the counter when I come back so I can cook that, but I need a minute. Get Junior, get little Susie so I can go get unwind for a minute. Because fathers, they always get their time. They always get their breaks. They always do. They come home when they want to. They're not rushing home to come help cook dinner and to help with homework and to help settle children down. And somebody I know is going to say, my husband do, not my baby daddy. He already know. Listen, most of the time, women do most of the work in the home, even if they work. They do all the child care, they do all the child rearing, and daddy comes in and he might bring up a little slack. He may pay bills. Yes, he's good at paying bills. Yes, he's good at taking care of you on the night shift. But when it comes to them children, he may or may not, because that's just not a man's judge. It's just not in a man to nurture. That's the woman's thing, biologically. Biologically. And there's nothing wrong with that. But let's just be real. Women do most of the work when it comes to the family. We do most of the cooking, most of the laundry. We give the baths. We do the homework. We do all of that stuff. We make all the doctor's appointments. We just do more work. Some fathers do help, and those are good fathers. And I think more men are starting to be more proactive in the homes and help with rearing the children. But for the most part, men didn't do that. Men didn't change diapers. I didn't see that growing up. I didn't see that a lot. Yeah. So, yeah, it's getting late. What time is it? It's almost a quarter to 12 where I'm at. I'm up late. I'm really playing games. But thank you again for chilling with me. I appreciate everybody that comes to my lives and listens to me. If you get a chance, Tyler Perry's new movie Straw is on Netflix playing now. It has Tiana Taylor, Sherry Shepard, Sinbad, Thurman, uh, and the star is Taraji P. Henson. And it's just a reminder that for black women, that you have to take care of yourself, even if you don't have help, even if no one else sees you, even if no one else steps in to help you. Take care of your own mental health because if you don't, you could lose your mind. If you don't get the sleep you need, if you don't make sure that you take care of you, nobody else is going to do it. Hear this on this movie. It was just a movie, but it was real life because I see it all the time. I'm reading story after story. Here this woman is struggling, struggling to provide for her daughter, struggling to be there and for her child and work. Her child is sick. Her child is sick, and she's struggling to make sure she has her medicine. And she doesn't have family to be there for her or anything. She didn't have anybody because she had lost her mind, and nobody was there to help her navigate through that. When she lost her child, nobody was there for her to uplift her and hold her up and say, let me go to your house and help you clean up. Let me help you get through this. Nobody was there for her. And because of that, as a result, because she was left to her own devices, she snapped. And then what people like to do when that happens is talk about you. Oh, they lost it. Their child passed away and they lost their mind and never came back. People love to talk about you when they see you fall. They don't ever be there to help lift you up or prevent you from falling in the first place. They love to talk about what you're going through. Oh, that man left her. Now she's trying to raise that sick baby on her own. And they could have been there to be a kind word or to just come over and sit with you for a minute and talk for a little bit. People don't want to do that. They want to talk about you. They want to talk about you and laugh at you and hee hee and ha 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 instead of helping you because it makes them feel better to with their lives and with the condition of what they're going through to see somebody else doing worse than them. People love to see somebody doing worse than them so that they can feel sorry for, talk about, and gossip about. And honey, did you hear about so and so? She lost her mind. They love to say that as if it could not be them. Hey, it could happen to you. I always have some negative, always, yes, always have something negative to say instead of helping somebody. You absolutely right. Like you won't have to eat those words and be humbled by life. I never thought that I would have to leave my job. I thought I would retire from there. I thought I would move up the ranks as my children got older, that I would move up the ranks and leave my job after probably 40, 45 years and retire. Now that I think about it, that's sick. That was sick to want to work somewhere for that long. That was sick, but I was prepared to do it. I made it to almost 20. I'm so glad God removed me from that place. It was toxic. I'm so glad He removed me from that place. And just imagine 20 more years of that. Ooh, that ain't living. That is not living. Some people act like they boo boo don't stink. Right, but they can look down on you. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can pay your bills today and you can get sick. Hold on, I've been talking too much. You can be going to work and get in a car accident and have to take off work. Or you can lose your spouse. You have a two-parent household, two-income household, and you able to pay all your bills, go on vacation, you got a little savings going on, and then your husband decides to leave you, or your husband passes away, or your husband gets sick, and not only do you lose his income, now you got to figure out how you're going to help take care of your man, as well as your children, as well as take care of your household. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So it doesn't do good to be so uplifted and high and mighty. That Janaya in the movie Straw is a lot of black women's plight right now. And I'm like, wait a minute. Because when I look at that, that seems so foreign to me. That seems so foreign to me. But again, by the grace of God, there go I. I've never known what it was like not to be able to give my children a birthday party, or to give them a Christmas gift. I may have not had as much as I wanted to spend, or I may have to move a few things around and finagle this and that, but I had the money to give them something. I don't know what it's like not to be able to give my children anything. I don't know what it's like not to be able to pay my rent and bills. I don't know what that's like. Like I said, I know what it's like to not have as much as I want to, but never nothing. Never had to stand in the line to get free food. Never had to stand in the line for Christmas toys. And when I see women doing that, I'm like, how come women have to do that? I caught myself. Like, why don't they think ahead of time and, plan for the birthdays, plan for Christmases? But sometimes people just didn't have it. They just did not have it. But with that being said, God bless you. If you're a single mom and you're listening to this, know that God sees you. Know that God is not trying to punish you. He may want you to step out in faith. He may want you to do something different than you are doing now. That might be going back to school. That may be applying for another job, having faith in yourself and reassessing your skills and redoing your resume and finding another job where you can make more money. He may want you to take a break from work for a few weeks because you're being overwhelmed and overloaded. It may be a year or two that he may want you off work. And no, you don't have savings, and no, you don't know how you're going to pay your bills, but just trust God, because your mind and your body is worth more than a dollar bill. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. My throat is dry. This is my second live today. So my voice is starting to crack. So I need to probably start talking before I'm hoarse and I can't talk tomorrow. You guys have a good night, and thank you for tuning in to my channel. I'm the Mommy Money Getter. You guys stay blessed.